What if your pastor wants to highlight, underline, circle, etc. stuff during the sermon? What if you need to telestrate what's going on in ProPresenter? How can you do that? Well, before I had a way to do it wired, but now I found a better way to do it because it's totally wireless. So if you're curious how that works, stick around and I'll show you. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, how to telestrate content live with ProPresenter. Hi and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you either use Telestrator in ProPresenter 6 and miss it, or you never used it but like the idea of enabling someone to mark up whatever on the screen, go ahead, tell me about it in the comments below. So this is one of the differences between ProPresenter 6 and ProPresenter 7. There was a feature called Telestrator that basically enabled the pastor or whoever to go into the app and mark stuff up, and then it would show up on the screen. Well, Renewed Vision said that a lot of people didn't use it, so they didn't bring it over into ProPresenter 7. Except I keep hearing people saying, hey, I want to use it and I wish they'd bring it into ProPresenter 7. Now, keep in mind, this isn't a scientific thing. I just hear a lot of stuff. So, I earlier had a couple of different ways of doing it, but I think that this is going to be the best way to go about it. And that is using an app that we're going to add onto the iPad, and just with a regular iPad, you can go ahead and mark stuff up. If you have one that doesn't have an Apple Pencil, then you could just use your finger. Or if you have an Apple Pencil, like I do, then you can use that. So let me show you how to set it up and tell you just where you can find the app. So let's head over to my computer and we'll take a look. So here we are in my computer, and let me first bring up a web browser here. And I'm just gonna show you this app here. So if I actually spelled it correctly, Telestripe. Okay. So this is it. You might guess that I've been here already. And this is just, it's an app, and for the basic functionality, which is all you may need, it's all I'm using, it's free. So that's what I find really cool. So I can just go over into the App Store here and click to download it. But you will notice that it didn't pop up and say, hey, open the App Store, because they haven't allowed that to show on Apple Silicon Macs, which provides a little bit of a piece of trouble for what I'm doing here. I was going to just have it in the Mac and show you how to do it. But instead, I've solved that with this thing that I've got here. I've got my iPhone connected to a magic arm that's positioned over top of my iPad. So let me start by going ahead and showing you what that looks like. So this is the app, and you can see my hand here with the Apple Pencil, and I can scribble on that. Then I can hit clear. I can change to different colors. That's all good. But the magic is actually in the lower left-hand corner here. Let me move that down. And you'll notice that it says NDI right there. Now to set that up, we actually set it up here. So I go up here and I go to video, and the NDI source, we need to, here, let's disconnect that. So this is the input of NDI. And let's turn off and on the output of NDI, because I do need to set that up in ProPresenter. So let's head back to ProPresenter and make sure that that is set up. So first off, I need a screen. So let's go to Configure Screens and make sure that I have this screen, which is NDI congregation mirror. Basically, the only thing that it's doing is it's sending out stuff over NDI that this is going to connect to. Next, we need to have another screen. This is the one that's actually connected to the projector, LED wall, big TV, although most of the time TVs aren't big enough. I'm sorry, they just aren't. But whatever, you can connect it here to this screen. So these are the only two that we're going to deal with. The congregation and NDI congregation, which is outputting as Paul 16-inch 3 NDI 2. So that's what we want that to be. So that's good there. Now we need to go here and we need to capture the video coming into ProPresenter. So let's go to ProPresenter, Settings, Inputs, and we go down here, and I've already done this. I've got input number 5 here set to localhost Telestripe 9047. So let's just double check. That is this one right here. So that is good. Now, so that's my video input. Now, over here on the NDI sources, so if we go back over here, I had to quit out of Telestripe and then bring it up. So you do need to make sure that ProPresenter is running first so that this could see it. It was this one. So this is our input, and then this is our output. So now we can just X out of that. And if we go back over here to ProPresenter, let's find something that we can mark up, shall we? So John 3:16, right there. That's good. Now you see that right there. Here, let me go to the congregation here. And what I can do now is I can go back over here and I could underline for God. And now if we check over here, we're not seeing it. But the reason we're not seeing it is I haven't set up my look. So I go into Edit Looks here, and I've already done this. It's actually this one marked Telestrator. And you might think that these are the only two screens we're dealing with here on the left-hand side. You might think that you would not want the slide and media to be enabled for the both the NDI congregation mirror and the slide and media. But there is actually a setting over here. If we click here, that's not it. Where is the setting? Here. Tools. You can see they were thinking more from a sports perspective than from a church perspective. So You can keep the iPad from sleeping. That's important here. Oh, output background. You need to make sure that that is off. That's where that was here. Let me hide myself. Output background right here. If it's on like this, you want to turn it off because we're only going to be outputting the transparent drawing from this. So basically, in this case, it would be only the line that's going to go on top. So heading back over into ProPresenter, so I have the background in both places, and I have the video input, which really I don't need because that's going to be underneath. But what I've done is I've put that on a prop here. So if we go over here into the props layer, and I go to the, let's see which one here. No, that wasn't it. Let's see here. Well, let me just make one here. So if I click here, I did this the other day and I forgot that I didn't rename it here. So let's call this Telestrator overlay, just so that it's obvious. Okay, right click, I can select, and I need to edit it. Oh, I did a macro. No wonder. No wonder I couldn't find the prop. I was doing a macro. Okay, here's the prop that I needed. Rename that. So, Illustrator. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, right click and we'll edit it just to show you what I've done here is basically, here, let me just delete this. I clicked on the little camera icon here at the top. If you're on an older version, there might be a So I clicked on the camera icon here at the top. If you're on an old version, there's a big plus button. You click the plus and then select video input. And what I need to do is select this video input. And now we need to make sure that it fills the screen. So I can just drag that until it goes to the edge. I could have also just typed in 1920 by 1080 right there, and that's something that I could have done as well to get it on there. So now when I click on this, it shows me the line, but I also need to make sure that it's showing this at the same time. Now, I could have added a macro or an action on it so that it turns it on at the exact same time. But just to show you what that does, right now I'm going to go ahead and circle the world. And you see how it updated there. And if we go back here to this, I could underline his only begotten son, and then over here in ProPresenter you'll see that it underlined that as well. So basically the pastor has that capability. Could switch to a different color, let's say believeth we want in a square or a rectangle in blue, and eternal life in blue. So that's good to go. Now, as soon as you go to the next slide, you just click on the clear button down here and it clears it. So that is one thing that's maybe a little harder to do, is you'd have to make sure your pastor knows to always clear it when you're going to the next slide. But I would probably go to the next slide, remove the prop at the exact same time, and then have the pastor clear the thing so that there's no lines up there for random stuff, and then go to the next slide with actual text. So less than perfect, but I think that that's going to give you a lot more flexibility in what you do. You can up here under general see the monitor mode. Notice that when I went to monitor mode, I got that completely filled out. So I can just draw right there. Let's see here. And see media. I'm going to clear the image. So here is where I would do whatever I wanted to. So it's a much better solution because, as I say, this is totally wireless. So with Video Pencil, which I used before, it worked fine, but it wasn't totally wireless. Now it's totally wireless. You would probably want the pastor and the ProPresenter machine to be on their own network so that other people weren't interfering with it, because NDI doesn't like doing too much data over Wi-Fi. But other than that, I think we're good to go, and that's just a helpful little utility that I stumbled upon quite by accident. In a group, someone was saying that they wanted to do this, and someone said, oh yeah, well, we use Telestripe for this. And they weren't necessarily talking about with ProPresenter, but it absolutely does work with ProPresenter, and that's how you do it. If you like this content, you would probably like my ProPresenter Quick Start course. So head on over to TDM.fyi/pro. Quick, give me your name and email address, and I'll make a login for you for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.